Je m'appelle Robin Whitaker. Je suis professeur associé à St. Thomas University et président de l'Association canadienne de la recherche théâtrale. I'm speaking to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, on the banks of the Wolastoq River, the traditional territory of the Wolastoqi Maliseet, whose ancestors, along with the Mi'kmaq and Passamaquoddy tribes and nations, signed peace and friendship treaties with the British Crown in the 1700s. Une transcription de cet événement en français est disponible dans la description ci-dessous. In a moment, I will introduce the respective chairs of the Robert G. Lawrence Prize Committee and the CATR Scholarships and Grants Committee to describe these recognitions and announce this year's recipients. But first, I wish to acknowledge the passing of three friends and colleagues of the association whose support for theater scholarship in this land has been immeasurable. In April, Joan Lawrence, wife of valued CATR member Robert G. Lawrence, passed away. Her support for our members in the form of the Robert G. Lawrence Prize since 1995 and the Robert G. Lawrence Scholarship since 2016 has contributed funding to a wide array of research projects. Famously, each year she relished receiving thank you letters from recipients of the Lawrence Prize, including in her later years when friends read the letters to her. We also take this time to acknowledge the passing of Heather McCallum in October. As head of the theater department at the Toronto Reference Library from 1961 to 1987, Heather was responsible for igniting the flame of theater research for many of our members. Since 1988, CATR has made available the Heather McCallum Scholarships to support archival research. On behalf of the board of the Canadian Association for Theatre Research, I offer our deepest condolences to the Lawrence and McCallum families and friends. We're grateful to continue to offer these recognitions in their names. The final statement I'd like to make before turning the event over to the two chairs of the Prizes, Scholarships, and Grants Committees is a significant announcement about the CATR grants, which, the board is thrilled to say, will henceforth be known as the Dennis Salter Grants. As many of you are aware, Dennis Salter passed away this year. He was a valued friend and colleague, a former CATR president, and in 2020 a lifetime associateship recipient from the association. A tribute to Dennis is posted on the CATR website. But the CATR board wished to do more. I therefore introduced a motion at our September board meeting to rename the CATR grants the Dennis Salter Grants. The motion passed unanimously and is enthusiastically endorsed by Dennis's family. Since 2020, the grants have funded projects outside of the annual conference proposed by CATR members, especially students and recently graduated scholars. Similarly, Dennis was widely recognized not only for his own outside-the-box research, but also for supporting his fellow CATR members, particularly students and emerging scholars, in meaningful ways. We believe the Dennis Salter Grants are a fitting tribute to Dennis and will influence and support our members' work for many years to come. Thank you to everyone who has donated to these grants in recent years when you started or renewed your CATR membership, and hope that you will continue to do so. CATR's many recognitions, which you can read about on the CATR website, are at the core of everything we do. Our membership interests are ranging, and we believe it is essential to recognize excellence in drama, theater, and performance studies. These prizes, scholarships, and grants are core features of these goals. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the chair of the Robert G. Lawrence Prize Committee, Jessica Riley, and the chair of the CATR Scholarships and Grants Committee and YouTube video creator extraordinaire, Emily Rowley, to tell you more about these recognitions and to announce the 2022 recipients.
On behalf of the 2022 Robert G. Lawrence Prize Committee, it is my honor to celebrate emerging scholars in our community with today's announcement. The Lawrence Prize was established in 1995 by CATR to honor the memory and contribution of Robert G. Lawrence, a valued member and friend of CATR. The prize recognizes the research of an emerging scholar who has presented an outstanding paper at the annual CATR conference. And I'd like to begin by congratulating and thanking all of the nominees for this year's Lawrence Prize. The committee had the great pleasure of attending and reading papers by many promising scholars pursuing important research in a number of vital areas. It was invigorating to encounter the rigor, the innovation, the curiosity, and the abundance of potential revealed in the body of work presented by emerging scholars at the 2022 CATR conference. The 2022 Lawrence Prize is awarded to Sheetala Bhatt for Restart the Play on Cyclicality and the Indian Woman in the Theatrical Future of C-sharp C blunt. Bhatt's rich and insightful examination of C-sharp C blunt was considered by the committee to be a skillfully interwoven combination of performance analysis and theoretical intervention. In this sophisticated analysis, Bhatt unpacks the productive tensions between Hindu and Western ideologies, cyborg performance dynamics, and post-colonial intersectional feminism, employing a cyclical structure that elegantly mirrors the theoretical emphasis on cyclicality in her analysis of C-sharp C blunt. Bhatt's paper renders a complex and multi-layered argument with clarity and conviction. The committee was particularly impressed by Bhatt's introduction and elaboration of the term interruptional relations, a promising conceptual contribution to the discourse, which we look forward to seeing developed further in Bhatt's future publications. Honorable mention for this year's Lawrence Prize goes to Jessica Watkin for Disability Dramaturgy, History, Perspective, and Practice. The committee found Watkins' presentation to be a richly informative reflection on the ethics of care and the practice of access intimacy in new play dramaturgy, delivered in an assured and accessible style. The committee commends Watkin on the sharing of theoretical and practical insights grounded in firsthand experience, as well as the generous offers, including but not limited to reading recommendations built into the fabric of the presentation. The larger dissertation project from which this paper is drawn promises to make a vital contribution to the field by positioning disability dramaturgy as not only a theory, but a practice of care that can and should be applied by all theater companies. Once again, I'd like to extend my gratitude to and appreciation for all of the nominees for this year's Lawrence Prize. Keep doing your important research. And to Sheetala Bhatt and Jessica Watkin, my hearty congratulations on your impressive achievements.
Hello, colleagues and members of CATR. It is with great pleasure that the CATR Scholarships and Grants Committee would like to publicly present the recipients of this year's CATR scholarships, the McCallum and Lawrence scholarships, as well as the CATR grants.
Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay Lachance and I am honored to announce the recipient of the 2022 Robert G. Lawrence Scholarship. Established in 2016, the Lawrence Scholarship focuses on supporting the work of graduate students and emerging scholars. Non-restrictive in its research area, the Lawrence can be awarded to projects that situate theater and performance in international or transnational contexts, or for projects that focus on Canadian theater or performance, including pre- and post-Confederation, Indigenous, intercultural, and diasporic theater or performance. This year, the Lawrence Scholarship is awarded to Francis Mathieu for their project, a production of Carol Churchill's Vinegar Tom, to be produced in February 2023. Mathieu's project attempts to extend Churchill's work to address contemporary considerations of gender, race, and other identities within the play. And the Lawrence Scholarship will support Mathieu's preparatory research and planned paper to consider, quote, how society's past copes with disinformation and red tagging of people in parallel to past and current events mirrored in the play, end quote. The committee was eager to support creative and applied research projects like Mathieu's. Congratulations, Francis.
Hi, I'm David Geary, and I'm honoured to present the Heather McCallum Scholarship, which was established in 1987 in honour of the former head of the theatre department at the Toronto Reference Library. The McCallum Scholarship supports projects that involve original research in archives and collections, interdisciplinary projects, projects that take researchers outside of traditional theatrical archives, and projects with a Canadian emphasis are welcome and encouraged. The 2022 McCallum Scholarship is awarded to Arash Issapour for their project on representation of Middle Eastern masculinities on Canadian stages. In particular, this project examines representations of Middle Eastern masculinity in the plays or productions of Marcus Yusuf, Sahal Pasa, and Wajdi Moawad. This research offers a rich and varied approach to considering archival work, as it not only utilises data from archives of both theatre production companies and private collections, but also includes interviews with the practitioners and their collaborators. The committee was intrigued by the project's focus on representations of gender and Middle Eastern identities in Canadian theatre, and we applaud Issapour's abilities as an engaged and curious scholar and natural teacher, as noted by the recommendations. Congratulations.
New as of 2020, we are grateful to be able to offer CATR grants for a third year and on an ongoing basis. CATR grants are considered broadly, with their general focus being to diversify CATR's programming and extending its impact beyond the annual conference site and time. The grants prioritize projects that support and engage emerging scholars and graduate students, and supported projects can be events that respond to the need for scholars to support each other through the exchange of ideas, as well as events or projects for which the grant serves as seed money. This year, we are pleased to award 6 CATR grants for the following projects. Christine Bolt for her project Applied Theatre Now: Theory, Practice, Impacts, a 3-part virtual conversation series for CATR members. The conversation series recognizes the various socio-cultural impacts on applied theatre and creation with communities, and it will discuss the need to and complicated nature of assessing applied theatre techniques. Hope McIntyre and Kim Richards for their project about sustainable theatre practices, which emerged from the CATR Working Group on Sustainable Theatre. The grant will support an online workshop to address how to incorporate more sustainable practices into our work in academic and production contexts. Ilana Hanin with Funmi Cole, Evan Moritz, and Yi Xiao Zhang for the Festival of Original Theatre, FOOT 2023, a graduate student conference at the University of Toronto. The 2023 festival intends to, quote, discuss and perform the glimmers of unforgotten togetherness, end quote. And the CATR grant will not only support the work of graduate students, but will help the organizers gain use of accessibility rooms, an important and forward-thinking approach in terms of access to theater scholarship and connection. Murilo Nunez and Decolonizing Activation, which is a collective attempt to find pathways for decolonizing theater, performance, and performance studies. The CATR grant will help support a week-long developmental residency for artist scholars, and the committee is eager to hear more about the ways that this project continues to engage with and build upon the existing work of Indigenous elders who are and have been engaging in similar land-based dramaturgical work and creation. Sarah Robbins and Stephen Johnson's Gatherings, Archival and Oral Histories of Performances Virtual Antiques Roadshow Fall 2022, which continues the cross-country archival and oral archive that has been developing over the past 5 years. The CATR grant will support the work of graduate students who are involved in supporting a virtual presentation of archival research. Jacqueline Takar and Neil Silcox's project, which focuses on e-initiatives for contingent, underemployed, and precarious faculty and emerging and independent scholars, an outgrowth of an event supporting the work of the CATR Task Force on Precarity. The grant will help support 3 e-initiative workshops on specific topics addressing precarity in our field and offering resources and community for those occupying precarious positions. Congratulations to all of these recipients.